I, as the designer, I was like, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to make XCOM and we're going to put superheroes in it and it's going to be awesome. And it was not awesome. It felt bad. And then, of course, we felt bad because you know what that meant? That meant that we were going to have to design an all new game. And so that's what we've done.
Hello everyone, Akeem Lawanson here, and joining me is Jake Solomon and Garth DeAngelis from Firaxis Games, here to tell us more about Marvel's Midnight Suns. Jake, Garth, thank you so much for being here. How y'all doing?
We are thrilled to be here.
We're doing great.
Right,
Thank
Garth?
you so much for having us.
Yes.
Yeah, very thrilled.
Yeah, I love your setup, by the way. Now, let's jump right into it, shall we? Now, Firaxis announced a bit of a delay since the last time we saw you. Could you talk about why you came to that particular decision and what you're working on in this last push to get Midnight Suns ready for release?
We did get a little extra time, and it's really important for the team, for this project, Midnight Suns, because we are making something unlike we've ever made before. This is an enormous RPG. It has many, many dark corners that we need our developers to have the opportunity to polish, to bring up to snuff. And, you know, in addition to just really making sure that we have it as clean as possible on December 2nd, we really wanted to make sure that the consoles were in parity with PC. That's really important to us, also as consumers of other games too, that everyone gets the same experience. So we're so excited that we have this extra little bit of time to put it over the top.
Now, at our IGN hands-on earlier this year, now we got to play with several of the characters, but we haven't gotten to try out Wolverine and Captain America yet. Now, can you tell us what their fighting styles are like?
Wolverine is great. He has lots of like chain attacks, as you would expect, very savage, and he's great at obviously recovering health. And so he's really ferocious, but he kind of goes all out, and so he gets hurt a lot. Captain America, as you would expect, he's great at supporting his allies. He's great at defending his allies. And so, but like all heroes, you can kind of push them one direction or another. So they have lots of abilities and you can modify those abilities. They have way more abilities than you can actually equip. And so you can kind of steer, do I want like an offensive Captain America or do I want a more defensive Captain America? And all of our heroes kind of work like that.
How much can the story change based on a player's decisions in game? Like, is it possible for characters to even like die or leave the team? Like, are there multiple possible endings? Like, how much can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so it doesn't go as far as multiple endings. However, players' experience is going to be very different because, again, the large roster means that you kind of have to focus on which heroes you're going to grow close to. So a big part of the game is building relationships. So outside of combat, we've made you your own player character. And so you interact with these heroes and you develop relationships with these heroes, but it takes a long time. And so you have to focus in on different heroes. And because of that, the heroes that you choose to focus on, that kind of defines part of the story of your playthrough. So it's really going to be unique for most players.
And we're also big fans of RPGs, right?
Yeah.
And it is such a large game. When you talk about the story, again, it's what's in the player's head and what do they choose to do in the footsteps of the hunter. You may befriend Nico and Tony Stark as your A squad on this particular playthrough, but you didn't really invest too much time in Captain America or Logan. So that's another reason to really go back to the game, and we have lots of reasons to go back to the game after you beat it.
Were there any like unexpected challenges changing gears from a game like XCOM to Midnight Suns, since you know they're so different, and what did you learn from that process?
I mean, it's pretty turnkey, wasn't it?
So many. I mean, look, if we're being honest, I think that the plan was, we were thrilled after we finished XCOM 2 War of the Chosen. Marvel approached us and said, hey, do you want to partner with us to make a new Marvel game? We said, yeah. And I, as the designer, I was like, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to make XCOM, and we're going to put superheroes in it, and it's going to be awesome. And it was not awesome. So XCOM is all about this fantasy of your heroes being fragile, right? They can die, they have to take cover. And their abilities, notoriously, of course, their abilities can fail, right? They can miss their shots. They have random amounts of damage. So when we put the superheroes in that situation, then the fantasy was completely not fulfilled. You know, your fantasy of a superhero is that you're wrecking all these bad guys. And so you shouldn't be able to fail your abilities. You shouldn't be able to miss your shots. And so it felt bad when we put the superheroes in designs we had done before. And then, of course, we felt bad because you know what that meant? That meant that we were going to have to design an all-new game. And so that's what we've done. It was not our intention to design an all-new tactics game, but we share zero mechanics with the XCOM games, which we love, and we wish we did share more mechanics, but we don't. And so we found our way to a new tactics game, and it's great. I mean, it feels more like superhero combat.
Yeah, and it's incredibly exciting to me to watch the design process and help that team move forward because they really did make some brave,
and a little stressful.
Bold,
it's fun to watch the design process. It's also stressful.
A little stressful, but you know, and we talked about this a few times through development and with the design team as well. They made some really brave choices, and they made the right choices because of the reasons that Jake stated. I think it would have been kind of easy to be like, let's take those mechanics from XCOM. We can put them in cover, we'll make percent work with heroes. But the team made, I think, the right choice for the IP, and it's led to this really cool combat system that, you know, as a lifelong tactics fan, I have not played a tactics system like this at all, where there's no grid. It truly is pick up and play. The abilities, the cards are very, very clear, and you can just say, this is who I want to attack, go.
Yep.
You know, but there's still so much depth to it when you get into the ability modifications and things like that. But it's a really, really clever system, and even all the paper prototyping you guys did with the environmentals, it has led to this really, really awesome combat system that I'm proud of.
Who would you say is like your go-to hero to have on your team, and are your selections more based on like their powers, or is it more so personality based?
That's a great question too.
That is
because
a good question.
I think if historically we would have said, oh, we're just going purely by their gameplay set, right? But when you're working with Marvel and that IP and those personalities, we've seen like you might choose this particular hero because you love them, you grew up loving them, and then you learn to use their abilities. For me, I learned about Nico Minoru, who I did not know about before this project. And the writing team did such an incredible job with her. And she's this catalyst for a lot of the events in the game too. And she's sort of the leader of what we call the Midnight Suns, or the kids.
Yeah, I would say for me personally, there's a character named Magic. She's not as well known. She's from the X-Men. She's actually in a smaller team called the New Mutants. When we made this game, there was no doubt Magic was going to be in the game. And I designed her ability set, and I made her OP because I loved her and I knew I was going to play with her. So I'm telling people right now, if you want the inside track, I did design Magic to be a little bit OP. So she's awesome. She's a teleporter, so she creates portals. And so she knocks enemies through them, and then she can set another portal to knock them out here. And so she does a lot of really cool things. So if I had to pick one, which is difficult, I'd pick Magic.
I don't know if y'all are going to answer this, but honestly, it's worth a shot, and I'm going to get the edge of my seat for this one. Now, we know there's one more secret character who hasn't been announced, and you have to beat the game to unlock them. Can you tell us if it's not the Hulk?
Oh man, he trapped me with language.
Messed up.
I don't know. If I say yes or no, I wouldn't even know what question I'm answering there.
I didn't hear the question.
Okay, it's cutting out. It's cutting out, Akeem. I can't.
It's okay. Honestly, it was worth a shot. Jake, Garth, I want to thank you both so much for joining us. This was fantastic. I'm glad you all were able to give us a little bit more insight on Midnight Suns. This was great.
Well, thank you for having us. This was fun.
Thank you so much for having us.
Of course. Now, we'll all see for ourselves when Marvel's Midnight Suns drops, now expected December 2nd. Now, what do you think about Midnight Suns? Let us know in the comment section down below, and don't forget to follow and subscribe to IGN wherever you like to watch.
Yeah.